I want you guys to know that I just filmed about 10 minutes of morning tea and I was not even recording. I'm having like a really bad day today. I hope your morning is better than mine. Cheers. No more tea, drank it all. Awesome. Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Morning Tea where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. Today's tea was chai tea by Stash Tea. It was the double spice because I have moved on. I've graduated to a giant mug. I've graduated to 2 bags double spiced. So I'm going to be sipping on some water because there's no more tea in that mug. In this episode of Morning Tea, I will be talking about all of the news events that happened between January 14th and January 20th, 2018. Alright, so let's get started with some pop culture tea. Here's the tea. Monique. Child, let's talk about Monique and this Netflix boycott. So the controversy with Monique is that she was offered a deal, or she was in negotiations with Netflix for a comedy special. She was offered $500,000 for her comedy special. She felt that that was very low for her, an Oscar-winning actress. She says that they offered Amy Schumer $11 million. They offered Chris Rock, they offered Dave Chappelle $20 million, and it's a really slap in the face for her, who is one of the most decorated comedians of all time, to be offered $500K. Wanda Sykes also chimed in and said that she was offered less than $500K, and she felt it was a slap in the face, and she just took her business elsewhere. I do know that Monique did a comedy special with Amazon, and I'm not sure if it was good. I don't know where it went. I don't know if anybody watched it. I didn't see it, but like, you know, so that's where Monique is. Personally, I feel like for Monique to call for a boycott is really her thinking that her career is more than what it is. I get that she can feel discriminated against because of Amy Schumer and because of Chris Rock. However, she is not in their league. You know, she won that Oscar a couple years ago for Precious, and she messed up with that situation. I don't know if you guys know the controversy behind that. She's claiming that Lee Daniels, and then by extension, Oprah, has blackballed her because when it became time to promote the movie, contractually you're usually obligated to promote a movie. She chose not to, and she said that because it wasn't right time for her, she needed to be home with her family. So she made a choice as a grown woman who is a professional in the entertainment industry to not do something for a director, and therefore consequences were doled out, and that consequences was that she was blackballed. And I feel bad for her, but at the same time, you have to stick to your guns and stick to your decisions. And she's saying that she is one of the most highly decorated comedians of all time, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, Whoopi Goldberg, Eddie Murphy, and Kevin Hart, like a few other people are still ahead of you. You know what I'm saying? Netflix is doing a lot of deals with different comedians, and that's why you see a lot of stand-up comedian shows on Netflix right now. And it's like, you know what? She's going to have to start from the bottom a little bit. So she needs to take $500K to do a series or do a stand-up comedy show on Netflix. And maybe she should take that so she can pay her bills and do what she has to do. But to call for a Netflix boycott like she is a player in the game right now is really, really interesting. That like lets me know where she thinks she is. Because in my opinion, I'm like, you know, honestly, you're not Tiffany Haddish. Like, Tiffany Haddish right now could call for a Netflix boycott. She wouldn't, but if she wanted to, it would make sense that she would be somebody who would. Monique just doesn't have the power that Amy Schumer or Chris Rock or any of these people have. She's not selling out stadiums. She hasn't had a movie be a box office hit. Amy Schumer is coming off of a box office hit, a world tour, selling out Madison Square Garden. She just does not have the same clout or the same resume as Monique. And Monique is claiming that Netflix says that, you know, they're not going on resume, they're going on how much, you know, the return is going to be. And she's trying to say, well, you know, if you're not going on resume, then X, Y, and Z. It's really weird and selfish for you to call a boycott claiming discrimination. It's only you that's not benefiting. It's not a whole team of people who aren't benefiting, because everybody else is trying to just get their special to be seen. And so they're taking whatever Netflix can get them and keeping it moving. Don't fight the little fights, girl. Keep it moving. Make your money. All right, so the next thing that we have in pop culture is... Oh, you know what? I was going to talk about Charlemagne the God and the interview with Amara La Negra, but I'm going to go ahead and make that a completely separate video because Charlemagne was bugging. Like, I don't know. I feel like I need to educate the masses because most people might be thinking like him. At first, I thought he might have been trolling her. Like, he might have been putting himself in the place of all the ignorant people in this world. But maybe he's being for real. Like, he really doesn't understand it. So that's going to be a whole separate video. And when I get it up, it will be linked up above. So if you see something slide across your screen, that means that video is up, and go ahead and watch that. All right. So let's move on to some domestic news. Here's the tea. So we've got some controversy when it comes to sexual assault. U.S. gymnast Simone Biles has come forward saying that she was sexually assaulted by the U.S. gymnastics team physician, Nassar, who is already on trial right now for other victims that have come up and come out against him. Other people knew about it, and the U.S. Olympics, group chose to protect him and hide his indiscretions. They sent like investigators to check him out, and I guess nothing ever came to fruition. There was one gymnast who claims that she was paid off to keep quiet. So it's a whole cover-up situation. This whole thing is blowing up. I just want to say kudos to all the brave women who came forward to talk about this subject. All right, so the next story that we have in domestic tea is last week. Oh my God, you guys, there was a family of 13 kids who were found to be held captive by their parents, all ranging from age 2 to 29. And the 17-year-old girl, one of the 17-year-old kids, actually broke free. She'd been planning her escape for 2 years, they said. And she found a cell phone in the house. She exited the house and she called 911. When police officers showed up to the house, it turns out that the house was dark. Majority of the kids were shackled to beds with chains and padlocks. The house smelled terribly because there was human excrement all around the place. They were not allowed to shower, but only once a year. And it's unclear like when things really got bad for them, because they do have family photos of them in Vegas for their parents renewing their vows. They have family photos of them dressed in clothes from, I don't know if they were at Disneyland, but they're dressed in the Thing 1, Thing 2 outfits. Like, whenever they went out, apparently they all dressed similarly. This is just such a really, really, really bizarre story. We're at the very beginning of it. A lot of the children, all their faces have been blotted out, even the ones that are up to 29 years old. They said that the 29-year-old woman looked like she was like 12 years old. She was only 82 pounds. They were starving them. They were torturing them. I mean, it's just horrible. Neighbors said that they knew a lot of kids lived there, but they never really saw them all. The reason why they never showed up on any radar is because the father supposedly had his own homeschool, school where he was the principal of it. And so all of his children were a part of his school. And so nobody really looked into them. And it just breaks my heart. I really, really hate child abuse, you guys. Like, I hate it in all forms. I hate mental child abuse, physical, emotional, all of it. It makes me so mad that people bring children into this world only to be cruel to them. It is insane, like, when you think of how humans can be towards other humans, especially their own progeny. Let's move on to some politics tea. Here's the tea. Okay, so in politics, we have the government shutdown. All non-essential groups that are getting paid by the government or government jobs are no longer open, right? So national parks are not open. If you wanted to buy a gun, you won't be able to. If you wanted to get registered for a gun, there's certain factions of the government that aren't open. So obviously, like, the military is still doing what they need to do. And the thing specifically with the military for this situation is that the military, they did a budget. It was passed. The military will be paid until February 1st. So as long as the government gets back on track by February 1st, there will be no disruption. But if they are not back on track by February 1st, the military will still be expected to show up to work. They just won't get paid for it. There is something called furlong.
Pause. The pronunciation of the word is furlough, not furlong.
Which is what happens anytime there is a government shutdown. So the people who are a part of these government agencies, they don't go to work, but every day they don't go to work, when the budget gets up and when the budget gets approved, they do get paid for those days that they were told not to go to work. So those days could be furlonged.
Forload.
So that is a good thing. So it's not like people just are out of money and expected to come to work, or just out of money and just don't get paid. Like, they do end up getting their money later, but it just sucks that it's on a delay. Because Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate could not come to agreement about the budget, especially when it came to DACA and immigration situations. The Republicans are blaming the Democrats. Specifically, the president went to Twitter. Great to see how hard Republicans are fighting for our military and safety at our borders. The Dems just want illegal immigrants to pour into our nation unchecked. Some people were worried that the U.S. Postal Service would stop. They're not going to stop. They're not considered non-essential. So you'll be fine. Basically, what it is the Democrats are holding out is because of the way the money was allocated towards certain governmental agencies that deal with immigrations. And the Republicans are like, look, this is what they're getting. Democrats are like, no, there needs to be more money into that. So they did not come to an agreement. And now Trump is saying that the Democrats want to support illegal immigration. And so they're holding the rest of the government hostage based on that fact. And that's just such an oversimplification of what's going on that is insane. But his base doesn't care and they think that that is true. So what does it matter? All right, so another thing that's happening, and this is what I found on Fox News, and I didn't find it on any other news outlet, not to say that it's not valid, but apparently Cory Booker went in on some lady, some Republican lady, Nielsen, I think her name is, because she claimed to not remember what happened in the room when Trump called African countries shithole countries. Fox News is trying to make it seem like Cory Booker got up on there and was just hollering at this poor innocent woman, and that he was mansplaining to her and talking down to her. And the only reason why other news publications haven't picked it up is because he's a Democrat. Had he been Republican yelling at her, there would have been a different story. And part of me is like, is that true? Would I care more if it were a white Republican man yelling at a black Democrat woman? And the truth is, if I'm keeping it 100, I would be like, ugh, how dare he? I would care. Not just necessarily me, maybe the public would care more. And my first thought is to defend Cory Booker and just say that he's passionate about the fact that he wants to know whether or not Republicans are going to stand by and just let Trump say and do whatever, and they're just going to pretend and be passive and act like nothing is happening, because he wants to show and prove to the world that Trump is a racist and that Trump is upholding racist ideals. To be fair and say that if it were the opposite, I would feel a certain way, so I should feel a certain way about Cory Booker and this woman. I don't feel a certain way because at the end of the day, I am black first. And if it were a black woman, I would feel some way because I am all those things, black and a woman. Let me know how you guys feel. I really want to know what your take is on this. I don't necessarily think that he should be like chastised or anything because he got heated about the fact that she's pretending not to remember what happened in the room. In fact, I think the whole entire situation is stupid. His own base needs to start thinking that there is an issue with him. And until they do, nothing we say matters. I didn't even look anything for international. I don't have any international news for you guys. Let me see. I'm gonna just open up Al Jazeera, you know what I'm saying, and just see what might be happening in the international community. U.S. VP promises to move embassy to Jerusalem in 2019. Tug of war over Iraq's Jewish archive. Israeli plan to deport African refugees is horrifying. UAE officials under investigation for torture. Y'all want to hear about any of that? Let me know. All right, you guys, that is it for this episode of Morning Tea. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a comment down below. Always remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Okay, bye.